Red Solo Cup chilling. What's good, boy? How you doing, man?
Living the dream.
Got the LeBron jersey on.
All right, y'all. What's going on? Welcome to the sit down. This is episode This is 9 now, and I'm here with my homie, my good friend. We met way back in the day, Carlos. This is my guy, Carlos.
Cheers.
Cheers. And today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about a lot. Actually, we're gonna talk about a lot, anywhere from Carlos's upbringing, just kind of getting his backstory first, and then we might shoot the stuff a little bit about sports since he's got a LeBron jersey on. And Rudy gets the other team in a sense. And then we'll talk about some of his freelance work that he does, and then we'll kind of talk about some of his mindset in terms of budgeting, finance, and stuff like that. Because Carlos was really you were really one of my first influences when it came to really being strict about a budget and really understanding how money works, how it moves. Because you remember, we started talking about that a week after I got there.
Yeah.
And you started really kind of picking my brain about stuff, asking good questions. So, Carlos, let's start with you, man. So,
you're a grown man now.
Hey, I'm trying, man.
You got your own spot, you got your own studio here.
Yeah, you're working on it.
You're not at your mom's house anymore.
Yeah.
With LCD on the wall, 5 feet away from you.
Yeah.
So, what's the first thing I told you when I came here? Welcome to manhood. You're on your own now.
Working on it, it's different, man. It's different, but I guess this is a bit of a culmination in terms of what you work up towards,
Pretty much.
But Carlos, let's talk about you a little bit, man. So, kind of give us a little background for people watching at home. I know a lot about you, but a lot of people watching probably won't know much. So, kind of give the people at home a little bit of a background just about, where you're from. And let's start even as a child. What were the expectations, education-wise, and then we'll kind of tie that into your career.
Education-wise, well, I'm originally Peruvian. I was born and raised in Peru, in Lima. And I came to the States when I was 10, originally to Miami. That's when I was introduced to the heat.
Hey, there it is.
And then moved to Palm Beach County at 14, and I've been here since, pretty much. Now, as far as education, what do you mean?
So we were talking off camera kind of about what the standards were, right? Because you kind of referenced back to one of my videos talking about my education growing up, right? Like for you, because I know based off of what we were just talking about, our standards in terms of education, what the expectations were a little bit different.
Yeah.
Especially going towards college, right? So for you, what were those kind of expectations that you had?
Well, I went to public school, I didn't
right.
And pretty much going to public school, I wasn't quite really embraced or taught when you're done with high school, we have these universities that you can go to or colleges you can apply to.
Sure.
This degrees in particular are high in demand. We got this field in South Florida that's going to be booming soon. I had to kind of figure that out on my own. There was no blueprint for me.
Right.
So it's you graduate high school, you can go anywhere you want, So at first I was a very anti-college guy. A lot of people I knew, I saw them just going to school to become to get their, back then business was the big degree.
Sure.
I want to go with business. Or that's saying I have arthritis, Very vague answer.
Yep.
So there was just no blueprint there. So I seen a lot of folks just going to college and come out of college and start working at Home Depot or start working at Walmart. They're great companies, don't get me wrong, but if you're gonna go to school for 2 years, 4 years, and then get a bachelor's and get yourself an X amount of debt to go back to an entry-level job,
it doesn't make much sense.
It doesn't make much sense. So I was always a very anti-college guy. I was nah, I'm not gonna go to school. I'm gonna work my way up the corporate ladder.
Sure.
Or I'm gonna do something, start a little company or something, And so that's what I did for a couple of years. I just worked. You name it. You ask anybody I know out there, I've done it all, man. I've worked. You name it, I've worked it. So, but then I got into finance right before I became a PTA, which I'm a PTA, a physical therapist assistant, just like Colin. That's how I met at work. And once I got into finance, I was in the field for about 4 years, and I really liked it. I thought I was going to pursue something in that field, but then prior to 2008, something didn't seem right. Like, how are people getting a mortgage with stated income when they don't have like proof of taxes for the past 2 years? Or how is somebody buying a $300,000 house just by saying, I'm telling you, all right, I make 80 a year, and you're like, here you go, here's the mortgage, here's the house, have a nice day. So something didn't seem right.
Now, how did you pick that up? Was it just through kind of experience and sort of seeing it?
Just kind of like, it's kind of like common sense, you know? And I something didn't seem right, and I was like, you know what? Something's not right. There's too much lending going on. There's more lending than people can afford.
Right.
And eventually, this thing's gonna come crashing down hard. And that's right before the 2008 recession happened, when things just went. So right before, I seen kind of like I was working at a credit union at the time. And I thought to myself, all right, I'm in a branch that was inside a super Walmart, and if there's a recession, they might be layoffs, or the company might contract, you know, and there might be like a lot of layoffs. So I thought to myself, I need to get myself into, because I was already tired of just job hopping, you know, one job to another job. So I was like, all right, if I'm not gonna pursue finance, I need to pursue something that's gonna be in demand. Like, I need a trade. Like, I have a good friend, Jose, that he was always like telling me, oh, I need to go to school. He's a registered nurse now.
Gotcha.
And he manages I think the Northeast region. He's working for a staffing company called Cross Country. I don't know if you might have heard of it.
That sounds familiar, vaguely.
So he staffs therapists, nurses, throughout the United States.
Gotcha.
And with COVID, he's been slammed, especially like he needs to like staff nurses to go to New York, to like the hot zones, you know, so he was extremely busy. So back then he would always tell me, you need to go to school, and I was just like, nah, you know, that's just not for me, or that's just a way to get yourself out of, you know, in debt and just end up like, you know, working.
Just drowning, right? Just trying to keep yourself above water, right?
But after the recession hit, right before it, I was telling myself, all right, I need a trade. I need to be the electrician, or like the physical therapist, or the nurse, like
something specific.
Exactly.
Right.
Something that you could take with you anywhere throughout the country, and sometimes even like I watched your mom's interview on a, you know, multinational level,
right?
Like to another country. So I was doing a lot of research, and there were just two fields in Florida that were booming, and I said, I need to get myself into either of these fields, which were IT, healthcare, computers, healthcare, booming, high in demand. So my wife, at the time, she said she was office manager for a chiropractic office. So she said, I'm going back to school. I'm like, for what? She's like, oh, I want to become a PTA. I was like, okay. So she was already in school.
Right.
So she was a big influence of why I went to PTA school. So I'll give her credit for that, you know? So then I started researching, and I was like, therapy. You know, I had physical therapy, occupational therapy for my hand, which I broke in 2006. And I liked the atmosphere. Everybody was nice, easygoing. There was no stress. Like a very chill job, you know, helping people. So I was like, physical therapy, huh? All right. Let me look into it. Let me research it. I started doing a lot of research about the therapy field, and for the salary, the demand, and the amount of schooling, it was a no-brainer. It was a home run.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
it was
like, still is.
Still is.
It's getting a little bit more saturated now. But
yes, it is. But it was like, I almost like to say, the best bang for your buck, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have to be in school for 6 years. You're gonna make, you know, decent money, and it's high in, up and coming, you know? A lot of people moving to Florida, a lot of baby boomers were retiring, so the demand was there. And it was like, one of my friends told me, oh, your field is gonna be, it's in the top 10 growing professions for the next 5 to 10 years. So I was like, I'm gonna do that.
Yep.
So.
Yep, and it was smart too, you know, I got lucky, you know, because I got in kind of right on the tail end of that huge expansion, you know, and what's so interesting, you know, we got lucky in the sense, you not so much, but me, we got into the field in a time where we could still demand our worth, right? A lot of fields that don't have demand, you can't put your foot down and say, I need this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Because they don't need you.
Right.
They can let you go as quick as you came.
Exactly.
But in healthcare, you know, it affords you the luxury of being able to ask for things, right? And in a sense, you know, they have to supply that.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
because there isn't enough people for what they need done. So they
Exactly.
have to kind of hold on to you. So, you know, that's
And the demand was there.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And like we had said earlier, you know, it's starting to sort of dissipate a little bit now. It's getting a little bit
and
saturated. but
right after when I was doing my second rotation, that's when, well, right before it, I would say 2009, or it might have been before that. I don't quite remember the exact date, but Medicare Part A required one-on-one treatment, and Part B. So for Medicare patients, it was a one-on-one. It's not like one therapist could see like 4 Medicare patients
Right.
at once. So another therapist said, "Ooh, that's going to increase the demand of jobs because one-on-one, a lot of patients want to need more therapists."
Yep.
So it was a good time.
There was something that you had said while you were sort of working into the finance field, right? You had understood that you didn't want to bounce around from job to job, right?
Correct.
And you had an understanding that you wanted to pursue something specific, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of people, they don't have that kind of mindset, right?
Right.
They don't necessarily think in terms of growing through a certain pursuit, growing through a certain
Right.
channel, right?
Right.
Now for you, especially because you didn't necessarily, like you had said, have a blueprint,
Right.
to follow.
Right.
Where did that kind of mindset sort of come from for you to understand that it takes specificity
Right.
to get somewhere in life?
Right.
That's what pays, right? Where did that kind of come from for you?
It was just, I guess all the job hopping, I just got tired of it, and I was like, I want to stick to one thing, focus on it, and just expand on it. So that's kind of like, it's like, all right, especially with like finance, like, you know, with the recession and everything coming down, a lot of people got laid off, a lot of people lost jobs in construction, especially, it was tough. So, and before I decided to go back to school and make the investment, because school is not a waste of money, it's an investment. You're investing in yourself if done right, you know.
Right, that's the key.
If
If it's
done
done
right.
correctly.
Anything you do, anything you invest in, you have to like research it and do it right at the right time, you know. Otherwise, it can go south.
Definitely.
So
No, that's huge, you know, because
Yeah.
even when it comes down to that's a great mindset too. Because
Yeah.
even when it comes to school,
yeah.
you know, that's a different mindset than a lot of
Mhm.
people think.
Mhm.
You know, oh, I'm going to school to get a piece of paper, to get a degree. No, you're doing
Right.
it to invest in yourself.
Right.
You're doing it to invest in your future self, right?
Correct.
And that's, again, you know, that's an interesting mindset because not a lot of people have that. To this day, I don't hear many kids going into college or pursuing something that
Right.
have that kind of idea.
Mhm.
And I think that's potentially could be an issue down the line, you know, because you hear a lot of these kids coming out with, and again, not knocking on it, but
Right.
a lot of kids are coming out of school now with general arts degrees or just general business degrees. Like that's
right.
that does.
I mean,
that's not really applicable per se. It's
right. I mean, if don't get me wrong, if you love something, I'm not discouraging anyone. You stick to it, make something out of it. But if you're gonna go for something that's gonna be very expensive, like make sure you really do your research and that there's a demand. You know, you don't want to be out of like. You don't want to be out of school and you can't get a job, and then you spend like, I don't know, like $60,000-$80,000 for a 4-year degree, and then you got to pay that back. So, and we have like the student loan debt crisis in the U.S. is just,
it's ridiculous.
it's just getting out of hand, really, really bad. So,
And
I hate to see people, in their 20s, fresh out of school, and they have like X amount of thousands of dollars in debt, and they're working just to pay that back.
Right.
So it's tough, man. You have to like play smart.
right now, what's funny is that was one of my decisions.
Yeah.
When I was trying to decide either doing PT or
Right.
PTA,
Right.
right? Because I was thinking, all right, so a PT salary is X amount.
Right.
The years of school is X, right? Okay, so a PTA is a salary or amount of money that you could potentially make will be this, right? And the years it takes you to go to school is this. Okay,
Right.
let's try to factor that out. So you have to go to school for 5 more years.
Yeah.
Those 3 years while you're in that DPT program, you're most likely not going to be able to work.
Correct.
So you're building 3 years of pure student loan debt. And I'm thinking, okay, so you build up those entire 3 years of student loan debt, whereas I could be working in the field for 5 years by the time these PTs get out of school.
Yeah.
So, and then you got to think, because that increase in that loan is so large.
Yeah.
When they're getting at school 15, 20 years, you're going to cut that salary, probably by a third,
Right.
just trying to pay those student loans back. So I was like, is that really, and again, not knocking on it, but
And
is
then
that really worth the investment?
And then you got interest, like
Right.
if you're taking out loans, there's like, when I went to South, me and you both went to South University, we're both Southview grads, and there's subsidized, unsubsidized, but interest was accruing, and at the time, interest was what, 6 1/4?
It still is now, yeah.
6 1/4,
I have
yeah.
a couple loans that are 6 1/4,
So
and that one that's 6.75.
Yeah.
And I'm targeting that one. Let's get rid of that.
You always get rid of the one with the highest
Ones with
interest.
the highest
Yeah.
interest, because that's the thing, and this is why, I'm interested in your mindset, Carlos, because people don't understand these fundamental concepts
Right.
of what interest is.
Mhm.
Is the schooling worth the salary that you're going to get on the other side? Because you might get a big salary, but if you're accruing $300,000 in student loan debt, you let that sit for 15, 20 years. That 20th year, you're going to be paying only interest.
Correct.
You're not even going to hit that student loan anymore. You're going to be paying interest for the rest of your life almost.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
And then, and of course, once you're out of school, you're making more money. You want to buy a new car.
right,
You want to buy a house. So all that is just adding up, snowball effect. You're just like getting more and more debt. So it's tough to get out of school. You start making 3 times the money you were making before, but you stay living with the same standards. For example, like same amount of bills, same amount of everything, pretty much the same.
and then you just stack on the student loans. It's
Yeah,
like,
you stack on the student loans, you save, because remember, you always got to pay yourself first.
got
That's one thing I learned, and if I'm not researching physical therapy, I'm always researching like budgeting or stocks or crypto, anything that has potential to make money. And the one thing that I used to reach some kids is like you always got to pay yourself first. You pay the credit card, you pay the car, you pay the mortgage, but who's paying you? You paying everybody else, but who's paying you? So you gotta pay yourself first. Whether it's rule of thumb, they say average of 15 to 20% of your take-home pay should go to your savings.
Yep.
Whether it's your investment, your brokerage account, your savings, it should be going to you first. Because nothing sucks more than you busting your butt for 5-10 years and then you have nothing to show for it.
right.
There's no savings, there's no 401k, no brokerage account, no real estate, no nothing. You just pretty much blew through your money,
Right.
I mean, not saying blew through your money, of course you gotta live a little bit, but you just gotta kind of hit a little bit more.
And that's and I'm gonna chop this episode now, but alrighty, y'all. So we're gonna clip this because we're about to get into something really good. So that's gonna be 9.1, and then in 9.2, we're gonna really kind of dive into Carlos's mindset when it comes to budgeting, finances, stock market, cryptocurrency, because we were just about to start to get onto it anyway.
Okay.
So we're gonna kind of dive into that, give that a full episode, because this guy, he's smart. This guy studies, he researches, and like I said at the beginning of this episode, this dude was one of the first people that really started to ask me questions that challenged me financially, right? What am I doing with my money? Am I paying myself first?
Exactly.
Right, so we're gonna kind of dive into that into the next episode, okay? So, alright y'all, we'll see you on the next episode. Peace. You're gonna see a couple boxes in a little circle. So over here, this is gonna be a playlist with a whole bunch of other videos that I posted. If you like what you saw so far from the sit down, you'll be able to keep up with everything right there. Right here is gonna be the video to my previous video. And then right here, click that circle there. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell icon to make sure you get all the updates whenever I come out with some new content. I appreciate the support. Let's keep the train going. Here we go.